crowd comes out to share their opinions on the final public hearing about parcel fees. Plus, President Joe Biden returns to the campaign trail amidst concerns over if he can defeat Donald Trump. And what you need to know about weight loss drugs for children. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Shane Scalfaro. Welcome to Newswatch. Ohio Brew Week is starting today in Athens, and Newswatch reporter Donovan Varney is joining us live from Court Street.
Yeah, Shane, I'm outside of the pub where today's Brew Week festivities kicked off around 4 p.m. today and will be going on throughout the night. This yearly event is a 9-day festival of Ohio brewing and fermenting that began back in 2005. This is an opportunity for visitors to come party on the bricks and try hundreds of beers from Ohio establishments. As you can see, people are filling in across Court Street. Lots of fun activities are taking place. We've got vendors, music, cornhole, you name it. It's a great time for the family to come out and have some fun. It's certainly looking like it's going to be a busy week in Athens with all of this stuff going on. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Donovan Varney, live in Athens.
Thanks, Donovan. On your screen, you can see a list of tomorrow's events that the 9-day festival has for you. Residents and visitors can enjoy the return of Dora. During the days and times the Dora is in effect, people 21 years and older can purchase alcoholic beverages from a permitted establishments and carry them within a clearly defined area within Athens. For a full list of Brew Week events, you can visit ohiobrewweek.com. So Parker, Brew Week's going on. What's the weather going to look like for the festivities?
Shane, it's hot today. It's probably going to be hot tomorrow, and it's going to be hot the next day after that. Everybody out there is probably working up a sweat. Important to stay weather aware right now. If you take a look into our region, 94 degrees here in Athens, but those temperatures just across the board staying pretty high. If you look down at Charleston, into that area, we're seeing 94 degrees. Up towards Columbus at 90, now 89 in Lancaster, 79 in Zanesville. Across the board, staying pretty warm in that mid 80s to low 90s range. Now, are we going to see any rain relief from that? Maybe a little bit. We might see a little bit of rain relief there. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. Anyways, so if you look into Cincinnati, we're going to see some rain relief coming through. A little bit there, and if you look into the regions in western Ohio, they're going to see a little bit coming through. A little bit in Chillicothe and Hillsborough, down into Portsmouth. Some rain, nothing you should be too worried about. If you take a look at tonight's temperatures, 66 is the overnight low. But if you take a look into our 3-day outlook here, Saturday, 93 degrees, working up to 94 on Sunday and 97 on Monday. Lows in the 70s, but ultimately, if you're going out and enjoying Brew Week, make sure you're staying weather aware. You're staying safe, you're taking enough fluids, you're making sure that no matter what the temperatures are, you're staying safe. That's the most important thing. Have fun, but stay safe. For now, we're going to take it back to Shane at the desk.
Thanks, Parker. The 20th Annual Ohio Youth Fire and EMS Training Academy concludes tonight. Newswatch reporter Haley Sueno had the chance to attend the last training earlier today.
Yeah, that's right, Shane. Nearly 50 high schoolers from all over the country spent the past week at Hawking College in Nelsonville, Ohio, learning fire and EMS skills. Take a look.
By the Ohio State Firefighters Association, this Fire and EMS Training Academy offers 14 through 18-year-olds a little bit of everything. Water and hose management, relying on air tanks to breathe, ladders training, and even search and rescue. First-year trainee Daisy Cyrus says the academy has already set her up for success.
When I came here, I basically learned everything that I need to know.
The week-long experience builds to this, putting their skills to the test through real-life simulations.
Fire running into an apartment building adjacent to the body shop.
In seconds, they were off getting suited up for fire and rescue. Some heading into the smoking building, others putting out car fires and rescuing victims. Among the many simulations they had in today's 90-degree heat, second-year trainee Cameron Bean says the physical aspect is not the hard part.
The mental drive to keep pushing forward and not giving up when you're tired.
Watching these young, ambitious trainees grow throughout the week has also been rewarding for the instructors.
You see them developing, they're clicking, the communication, the camaraderie, the fact that they look out for each other.
Staff says that it is vital we have interested youth because they will determine the future of firefighting and EMS.
Career or volunteer, regardless, the number of firefighters that we draw from in the state of Ohio has dropped drastically over the years.
And that is a serious worry for today's fire departments.
It's tough right now because the money's not there or the initiative for people to do that.
But this week has them looking forward with proud optimism because there is no doubt there is a fire in these future heroes.
This year's training academy saw an increase of about 12 students, and the hope is that they continue to build on what they learned this week and return next year. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Haley Sueno, live in studio.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is encouraging military members to work in Ohio schools. Through the new Military Recruitment Award program, schools can now offer a $3,000 hiring bonus to any military-eligible individual. This includes service members, veterans, and their spouses to join the education workforce in Ohio. The Military Recruit program is designed to benefit public schools, districts, community schools, and others. Award applications are now being accepted. For more information, you can visit the website on your screen. Ohio University is improving its campus with new pedestrian infrastructure on South Green Drive. Crosswalks along the road are getting highly visible signs to reduce potential pedestrian vehicle conflicts. Construction will also extend curbs and add curb ramps to improve accessibility. The project is expected to wrap up August 5th. This is a small part of the university's comprehensive plan, which also includes the construction of 2 new dorms. The Athens-Hawkins Solid Waste District is floating a new option to increase revenue as part of its 15-year financial plan. The new option comes as the district has been holding public hearings about the proposed plan across Athens and Hawkins counties. Newswatch reporter Lucy Schaefer was at the 3rd and final meeting, which drew a big crowd and lots of opinions.
Against the parcel fee, and let me explain why.
Thelma Farmer and other residents voiced opinions on a proposed parcel fee at the last of 3 public hearings put on by the Athens-Hawkins Solid Waste District last night.
This is information we need to hear from you guys as commissioners, as the voting body.
Parcel fees would tax pieces of land in Athens and Hawkins counties with structures on them. The Solid Waste District would use part of the money raised by the fees to buy the Athens-Hawkins Recycling Center. AHRC's Executive Director, Krissa Cummings, said at the public hearing that the center has struggled for months.
The Recycling Center has been a huge partner for the Solid Waste District, and yes, is in a huge amount of financial trouble right now due to the loss of the contract in the city of Athens.
Solid Waste District Executive Director Jane Forrest Redfern has presented 2 options as part of the district's 15-year financial plan. Impose parcel fees at $24 a year or raise other garbage rates within the district. At last night's meeting, she put another option on the table. It would knock the parcel fee down to $15 a year and increase landfill rates. However much the parcel fee comes out to, many residents aren't happy.
A lot of us here can pay that $15 or $24 a month, but I see seniors coming through my door every day that can't hardly pay for their food.
I'm not in favor of putting this to the parcel owners.
You cannot put any more burden on the people.
Others, like Cummings, say they're willing to pay the fee.
To me, that $72 or whatever that works out to be is well worth the amount that I would be paying for the services that I get.
The Solid Waste District Board will vote on the parcel fees this Thursday.
Joining us now is Newswatch reporter Lucy Schaefer with more information on the fees. So why did the Solid Waste District want to impose these parcel fees?
Yeah, Shane, so that timeline actually began way back when in November when Athens decided to switch their garbage hauling contract to Rumpke. So Athens-Hawkins Recycling Center lost 40% of the revenue that they were making originally. So in response to that, Amesville and the Solid Waste District formed a council of governments, and that's basically where multiple municipalities contract together to manage solid waste. So the idea is that the Solid Waste District would buy the recycling center with that money and the recycling center would be absorbed by the Council of Governments. The Council of Governments would pay a lease to the Solid Waste District to own or to use the facility.
And can you tell me about this new option?
Yeah, so Director Redfern actually included this option to make sure that people don't have to pay as much as they need to with $24. So she bumped that parcel fee down to $15, and she would also have to cut additional fees. So if this option passed, she would have to cut 25% of her budget. She said last night at the meeting that the district would be able to get what they need and not what they want. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, well, hey, I appreciate you joining me. I know you got a lot of information. You've been doing this a while, so very much appreciate the information. If you need to get caught up on the parcel fees, head to woub.org. Coming up, President Joe Biden returns to the campaign trail amidst concerns over if he can defeat Donald Trump, and how customers are facing impacts from this telecom giant's data breach.
With hot weather across the U.S., what you need to know to stay safe in the coming days. Coming up next on my full forecast on Newswatch.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of securities is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
Understanding the past gives a sense of the future. This is the first time that anyone has seen this in 2,000 years.
This is amazing.
Well, I'm excited now.
Pompeii is a battle against time.
You think I'm joking, but look at this. It did really happen.
Don't let anybody tell you who you are.
History teaches us to honor the past.
When you look back, you're like, wow, that was pretty special.
This is something that's actually altering the course of history.
You're charged with keeping these stories alive.
President Joe Biden is vowing to stay in the race as questions continue to swirl around his candidacy. More Democrats are calling on Biden to pull out of the presidential race due to concerns over his health and ability to win in November. Michael Yoshida has the latest.
After hosting NATO leaders in Washington this week, President Joe Biden heading back on the campaign trail as he vows to stay in the 2024 presidential race.
I'm just going to keep moving.
In a press conference Thursday, Biden looked to put aside concerns over his debate performance and ability to beat former President Donald Trump.
I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
There was a notable gaffe when he mistakenly referred to Vice President Harris as Trump, but the president also offered in-depth answers on foreign policy and the economy.
We're seeing President Biden talk about foreign policy and all these leaders and these issues. Trump is down at Mar-a-Lago with Orban, an authoritarian, egotistical sycophant of Putin.
But more lawmakers are calling on Biden to step aside, including the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee.
We just went 10 days where the story was not Donald Trump promising totalitarianism. It was, how is Joe Biden going to do in the big boy press conference?
In a statement Friday, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries announced he met with the president Thursday night, expressing heartfelt perspectives and conclusions about the path forward that the caucus has shared in our recent time together. But Jeffries did not explicitly endorse Biden's campaign. This comes as vulnerable House and Senate Democrats worry Biden's candidacy will impact their own races, putting the congressional balance of power at risk. At the White House, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
The White House is handing out $1.7 billion for electric vehicles in America. The funding, which comes from the landmark Inflation Reduction Act, will help convert closed down or at-risk auto manufacturing and assembly plants to make electric and hybrid vehicles. The awardees include major automakers like GM and Volvo, as well as suppliers like American Auto Parts. The Biden administration says these projects will create 2,900 new jobs and save 15,000 jobs that may have been eliminated. Nearly all of AT&T's cell phone customers have been impacted by a massive breach. The telecom company says the compromised data includes tens of millions of customers' phone numbers between May 1st, 2022 and October 31st, 2022. Customers' personal information and the contents of their calls or texts were not exposed. The company says its data was illegally downloaded from its workspace on a third-party cloud platform. The mobile giant reports that it has closed the, quote, illegal access point and is working with law enforcement to find those responsible. The judge in Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial is considering a new motion to have the case thrown out. The motion stems from the testimony of a crime scene technician yesterday. It was about ammunition delivered to the sheriff's office following the conviction of rust armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Baldwin's attorney argued that the evidence was not properly disclosed to the defense and accused the prosecution of concealing it. The prosecutor countered that since the rounds were not a match, there was no evidentiary evidence to the case.
It is hot today in Athens. 94 degrees is what we're at currently with that humidity at about 31%. Now, this weekend, we are going to see some storm systems start to work in, and I'll get back to that here in a bit. But if you take a look around the region, 94 in Athens, but those temperatures across the board are just staying high. Really, all the way from Columbus down to Charleston, 95 in Charleston, 87 up in Columbus, just staying in those high 80s to mid 90s. And that's something we're going to expect to see across the weekend. Now, some relief over in that Cincinnati area, and that is coming from some storm pop-ups. They're working their way over towards the south of Columbus. People in Chillicothe, Circleville, seeing a little bit right now. We're not going to see much in Athens, but a little bit of a brief cool-off for people in those areas as these heat bubbles start to work their way back up into the Midwest with the exit of Beryl. Now, if you take a look at tomorrow morning, what we're seeing is these high pressure systems that are pushing some storms into our areas. Now, Columbus is going to see a little bit onto north of Athens is going to see some rain, but by tomorrow evening, it's going to clear out and we're not going to see much there. As we head into tomorrow's weather, 93 degrees. So if you're going out and enjoying Brew Week, make sure that you're aware of those temperatures, 93 and 67. And 93 is actually the coldest it's going to be until next Wednesday. As we head into Sunday, we're going to see some more of those storm systems start to build up. That's going to be a theme throughout the week. We're going to see in that Parkersburg area going into southeast Ohio, and that's going to stay the same throughout the day. So some pop-up showers, be expecting and be ready for that. If you take a look at our 7-day outlook, as I mentioned, Saturday is going to be 93, but those temperatures are going to increase throughout the week. 94 on Sunday, all the way up to 97 on Monday and on Tuesday. Then with some more storm systems working in to our area, we're going to see some cool-offs as we head later in the week, 85, 82 down to 80. Now, if you're going out to enjoy Brew Week, make sure you're having a great time, but make sure you're staying weather aware because that humidity is also going to increase with those thunderstorms coming through. Ultimately, if you're going to go out, make sure that you're drinking a lot of water, you're taking breaks indoors, you're staying hydrated and staying safe, as we're expecting that cool-off later into next week and some high temperatures early in the week. That's all I have for my weather. I'm going to take it back over to Shane.
Thanks, Parker. There's been a lot of talk about cognitive testing in the aftermath of the presidential debate. The mental fitness of President Joe Biden, 81, and his Republican opponent Donald Trump, who's 78, is under the microscope. But what exactly goes into a cognitive test? Brian Abel is looking into that question.
Most people generally have a good idea of their overall health, but when it comes to brain health, many of us are likely in the dark.
We know our heart, we know our blood pressure, we know our kidney function, we know our thyroid. Nobody knows how their brain is functioning at a time in life when they're functioning fine.
And often by the time we notice something is wrong, it's already too late.
These brain diseases that we're talking about with aging, they creep up on you.
Anyone experiencing memory loss or cognitive impairment should seek neuropsychological testing. And Weintraub says when you turn 55, you should probably get a baseline evaluation of your cognitive abilities before symptoms arise. And there are multiple assessment options out there.
It could be from as simple as what year is it to 8-hour batteries and everything in between.
Those assessments...
Ready to do some testing today?
Use simple tasks to test both verbal and visual memory.
In someone with dementia, they may be able to learn the words, but when you come back half an hour later, they really can't remember almost any of them, and that's when we know something is abnormal.
Most importantly, experts say don't ignore possible symptoms and don't wait.
Don't just think it's normal aging. It might be, let the doctor tell you that, Get in, get evaluated.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
Next ahead, and what you need to know about weight loss drugs for children. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube.
The 2024 campaign heats up.
We're going to fire crooked Joe Biden. We are going to make America great again.
Can former President Trump convince voters to send him back to the White House?
This election is a choice between strength and weakness.
How would he take on the challenges facing America at home and abroad? A PBS News special, The Republican National Convention. Coverage begins on Monday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
We are entertainers first. That's my stage.
There were some anger issues.
You cannot be serious!
If you say sex god, I hope I was popular for my tennis.
She made women believe that they are equal to men.
Tennis was absolutely massive.
As more people decide to age in place, our next Cecil House project is all about accessibility. We're kicking off our 45th season with a mid-century modern in Lexington, Massachusetts. The family has to update it and make it more accessible for their 13-year-old son, who will soon use a wheelchair. Ramps, level thresholds, and an easy-to-navigate layout are just some of the features on this project that we're calling Modern with a Mission.
Around 1 in 5 children and adolescents have obesity in the U.S., according to the CDC, while the popularity of weight loss drugs continues to skyrocket among adults. Some doctors are seeing a high demand for these medications for children as well. Mandy Gaither has more on potential risk and benefits.
It's a major health crisis in the U.S. Studies show the number of children with obesity has tripled over the past 4 decades. And with more adults turning to weight loss drugs, some medical providers are seeing the same in pediatric patients.
The demand is high.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved 4 weight management medications for use in children 12 and older. Recent studies have shown weight loss drugs and surgical procedures are highly successful treatments for children, and they're deemed viable options under guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics. But there are risks, too, says Dr. Shasta Safter with Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children.
I do not want any parent who is considering these type of medications for their children to think it's just a magic pill or a magic drug.
Safter says long-term data on the effects of these drugs in children is still being gathered. She says the research we have now shows these medications are safe options, but should only be considered after other methods of treatment have been exhausted. That includes making sure the child stays physically active and modifying their diet, consistently cutting back on processed foods and limiting fast food.
This is not only on the shoulders of a child to make these dietary choices, it's what choices the parents are providing to the child.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
When a child has obesity, it raises the risk of major health issues into adulthood, including type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, liver disease, and other issues like anxiety and low self-esteem. Still ahead, this NASA telescope is delivering cosmic surprises. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
giving the keynote speech.
Professional rival, known to the victim, present at the crime scene.
So are the pieces locking together?
There isn't any physical evidence, is there?
This is my last week.
You require me to deliver Professor Hayden's speech. The police wish me to help solve his murder. I now realize they're the same thing.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
The planet is running out of time. We are the resistance.
We're expecting significant casualties.
My own daughter is among the missing.
Counter-terror will be taken command.
We will never bend to the will of terrorists.
Back! I'm just getting started.
Let's start at the beginning, shall we? I can't wait.
People will be watching your every move. I can handle it. Let's go.
So, what's your secret?
Things are starting to move in the right direction.
Tell us everything.
Are you ready for No one is going to tell me who I can or can't be. Troubles, honey? Like you wouldn't believe. Hop in. Every day, I see the evidence of all that love can do.
Whatever happens, we'll be together.
There's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be. This was perfect.
Finally tonight, NASA is celebrating the 2-year anniversary of the James Webb Telescope with the release of a new vivid photo. The image shows a pair of intertwined galaxies, which NASA calls the Penguin and the Egg. Known jointly as ARP-142, the galaxies first passed each other tens of millions of years ago, causing the new star formation you see within the Penguin. NASA says the galaxies are about the same mass, which is why one hasn't consumed the other. The $10 billion James Webb Space Telescope first started taking images in July of 2022. I didn't even know galaxies could do that. That's honestly pretty awesome.
No, I mean, it's really fascinating. And when you look at the images, it looks really cool and that our technology's on it. But you know what I always wonder when I hear about these new things is who is naming this? The Penguin and the Egg, they're about the same mass, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I would have went a different naming style there.
I agree.
But let's take a final look at our weather for tonight. Currently in Athens, it's still really hot, 94 degrees with a 31% chance of humidity. We're going to see these high temperatures throughout the weekend, but as we head into tonight, it's going to be an overnight low of 66. Now, that's going to be a good break because as I mentioned before, as we get further into the weekend, the temperature is going to continue to increase. Now, if we look at weather tomorrow, when you're going out to enjoy maybe some Brew Week festivities, make sure that you're staying safe. 93 degrees, it's going to be mostly sunny, and those temperatures are just going to continue to tick up throughout the week. If after Saturday, Sunday is going up to 94, and then we're getting up to 97 on Monday and Tuesday, and that's not taking into account the humidity. So in those situations, that feels like might be closer to 100. Then as storms start to roll in later in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, temperatures are going to continue to decrease. We're going to get all the way down to about 80 degrees on Friday. But again, if you're going out, make sure you're staying safe, make sure you're getting enough time inside, make sure you're being weather aware.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Donovan Varney, Haley Sueno, Lucy Schaefer, and Parker Capranica, I'm Shane Scalfaro. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.
Let's make the most of this summer.
There's about to be a whole lot of love in this kitchen.
Smells good in here.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.